this one, they wanted me to tell 15 stories, a page long story, pretty much word for word. So if you're me, that's tough to do. I just have, I don't memorize at all. And so I said, well, if you want it exactly like that, because it'll be completely different every time I tell it,
Right.
you need a teleprompter for me to do that. And
Yep.
they said, fine. Okay. But when you have a teleprompter,
Bingo.
there's a speed issue.
Yes, there is.
And you got to work that speed issue out, because sometimes it's fast, and then when you get a lot of long words together, then the speed changes completely because you've had to say these long words, right?
That's not all. First of all, I never tell my clients to use a prompter unless they have had experience with one.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's very, very quick and you're trying to read every single word. Sometimes the words are misspelled, which drives me crazy because
then you want to correct them. Yeah.
Yep. Then I want to become the English teacher again and correct all the words and the misspellings, or the way they set up the words. Sometimes a word will go into another word, and then it's up to you to separate them while you're reading and sounding so erudite.
Right.
So reading from a prompter is another skill. You can learn this, and there are apps that you can get to put onto your computer,
your iPad, and different places. Yeah, it's great.
But you must, if you want a teleprompter, if somebody asks you to do that in advance, well, you didn't have any time with your nutty week.
Well, I'm used to doing teleprompters from other things, but one thing that really helps me is to make sure you stay right in the middle of the teleprompter. It's really easy to start going fast and get towards the bottom and start running out of
that is it.
And then your words are all gone and you're like, are they coming up? Are they coming up? Are they, So if you stay at the top, you'll be talking really fast because it's like about to go off the top. But if you stay right in the middle and stay that speed, it's a pretty good bet that you'll have words to say.
But if you look like you're reading,
oh, then you're in trouble.
No good.
Yeah.
If you just read, that becomes monotone. So what you have to do is to inject emotion and passion and whatever into your words while you're worrying that the teleprompter is going to get stuck or slow down. This happens sometimes. Or slow down, or speed up.
It could be faster or slower depending sometimes on how long the words are. You get a lot of long words that take longer or shorter or whatever to say, then the speed changes, and so you have to be able to adjust. And, every once in a while, if you start going too fast, you just got to go, make that long point of that. It takes kind of a long break. And it's not fair
to people like you, like me. We're not actresses. And it's not fair to us who have to supposedly read these lines as though we were acting and to sound so understandable.
I have respect for people who can remember things like that, though. I mean, I have zero memory. When I give talks, I don't memorize it. I can't. I mean, some people have their stuff to memory. I'm not that person. I've never been. Can't do it.
But it's better off that you don't, because in times of stress, that's when things escape. I have had, look, I did this infomercial and they wanted me to write something. So I wrote what I had to do. I said, excuse me, here's my script. And they said, great, wonderful. I had to memorize it, my own words, memorize that in order to deliver it. I
can't do it, even if it's my own words. I can't memorize.
I couldn't do that. This is why I would never.
How they do that?
I can't imagine.
When I worked in mortgage sales, they made us memorize a 3-page document and give it back on video of their culture statement, and it was written by some guy from, I don't know where he came from, but it was the grammar, it was
It was a translation.
I think it was him being kind of cute, Southern accent kind of thing, inflected, should have been in there to make it cuter, kind of, but it didn't look right coming out of me with these words because his grammar, it was so bad. And and they go, it has to be word for word. You have to say it exactly like this.
Wow.
And my dad, as a English teacher in my head, was just exploding in my head, right? So they put us on video, and every time I got to a sentence, I edited it a little bit, the grammar. If he said I when you should be me or whatever it was, I couldn't take it. I had to fix it, and nobody got mad at me, so I got away with it. But
well, one time in my life, I think I told you this story. I went for an acting class. I had 5 sessions of this acting class, and the acting teacher said, "You've got the look." I said, "What look?" I was teaching. I was a teacher in the South Bronx. I said, "What look?" So she said, "You have the look. I'm sending you down for a commercial." So I said, "Oh, well, I never did that before. Sure, okay." And I was reading copy that was written by imbeciles, and I started to correct their English. Well, you don't tell the copywriter that you're correcting his English.
Yeah, not wise.
They said, "God, you look so familiar." I was not on television in those days. "You look so familiar. Where have you been?" I said, "Let's see, PS 49. School, what?"
School. That's so funny.
I had no experience.
Well, Tony, my youngest. Well, my youngest, when she was like maybe 5, wanted to. She saw they were auditioning someone in the mall. They were doing for an acting thing, and I am definitely not a stage mom kind of person that wants my kid to do that. Who likes that? I'm not one, but she was so she was such a cute little girl. She was just over the top bubbly, just the all personality, just total personality. And I thought, well, she probably would be adorable doing it, but so the line was like wrapped around, and we were in this for a while. And she just was bouncing off the walls with saying all the cute things she was saying. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be cute to watch. She gets up to the top front of the line. They go, "So Tony, tell me." And nothing, just nothing came out. And I'm like, oh, good. I don't have to deal with that. But it was, I don't know if she remembers it. I think she does, but it's so cute. I wonder. Well, it's 30 years ago, so probably, I don't, maybe not. But she was so adorable, and then she couldn't do it. So, you think, I remember when I was doing that commercial for that school, I thought, okay, no big deal. But then they turn on the camera, and then first time you look at that camera, I think it'd be harder the first time if it was, it's live, but it's an intimidating thing to a lot of people who want to get out there, and they do it, but then it brings out this side of them that they don't anticipate coming out. Don't you think sometimes?
If they have never done it before, then it may be a little intimidating. It's like the first time I did this time delay thing. I was put into a CNN studio, pitch black. I mean, this was not one of the studios as you're describing, that room that was just so sterile. No, this was a pitch black room. You could not see anything. And then there was a little tiny camera in front of me, and they said, "Speak in." And this was a time delay, and I was supposed to answer Wolf Blitzer and he's talking and talking and talking, and I'm on this delay, and it was so unnerving. I found the same thing happened I was doing an Australia talk show, and I was in New York, and they were there, and they were talking to me, and they asked me a question, and then there's dead space until I got the question, and then I could respond. There was extra dead space. That was so impossible to do. It was just impossible.
Well, my good friend who I work with at the university now, you haven't met her, but she's just she's the last person on the planet I would expect to be on a talk show, and she was on Dr. Phil. And she was telling me how he didn't even look at them at all when they would ask questions and stuff, that she just had to answer into something. And then he would ask it later somewhere else, and it was all disconnected. She said it was the strangest thing she'd ever sat through.